Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we'll discuss today about Sri Sivananda Sena. Those of you who have read Sri Caitanya Charitamrita will be familiar with these pastimes. But as they're spread throughout Caitanya Charitamrita, they're brought together here for the pleasure and elucidation of the devotees. So first of all, we can hear what was his identity in Krishna Lila. It's useful, it's interesting to know this because often the identity in Krishna Lila parallels, or the service in Krishna Lila parallels that in Gaur Lila. So Sivananda Sena in Krishna Lila was a duty or gopi messenger called Veera. You have that name here, girl's name, Veera? Veera, something. So his service was to bring the gopis to Krishna. He arranged all of them and brought them. Sorry, her service in Krishna Lila. So Sivananda Sena is well known in Gaur Lila for bringing all the devotees from Bengal to see Mahaprabhu in Puri. So that's a very wonderful service. The Lord likes to be with His devotees and the devotees like to be with Him. So making arrangements to bring the devotees to see the Lord is certainly a very intimate and pleasing service to Him. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he left, after taking sannyas, he left Navadvip and resided in Puri. And many devotees from Bengal, not only from Navadvip but from different parts of Bengal, would go to see Mahaprabhu and reside with him during Chaturmasya in Puri. They would go to attend the Rath Yatra with him, and then stay on during Chaturmasya, which begins shortly after Rath Yatra. So Sivananda Sena made all the arrangements. And they would, after Mahaprabhu left Navadvip, then Sivananda, he was living in Kumarahat, which is presently known as Harisaha. So after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, Srivas Pandit, he couldn't remain in Navadvip any longer, because his home, which had been the place of such great happiness, being the scene of daily, all-night dancing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So that place, which is the place of unlimited happiness for Srivas, and is non-different from the Rasasthali in Vrindavan, Krishna's dancing place in Vrindavan. But he found it now, after Mahaprabhu's disappearance, the place of intense grief. It's because he, all the time he was reminded, oh, Mahaprabhu danced here, Nityananda was here. And remembering all these pastimes and thinking that he will never come here again, Srivas could no longer remain in that house. So he also moved to Kumarahata, which is also the birthplace of Ishvara Puri, the guru of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are many great Vaishnavas in that town. Other famous devotees were Vasudev, who lived there, were Vasudev Datta, Kanja Bhagavan Das, otherwise known as Bhagavan Acharya. Kanja means lame, so he had the appearance of being lame. So all the devotees, Sivananda Sena, he would make arrangements. All those who wished to go to Puri, they would make he made arrangements. They would all meet together. Because there were devotees from Navadvip, from Kumarahata, from Kalna, from Shantipur, from north of anyway, from all different places. Kulinagar. So they would all meet in Shantipur at the residence of Advaita Acharya and proceed from there. So Sivananda would arrange all the arrangements for food and lodging.
I smještaja.
As you can imagine, with a party with a few hundred devotees, and you have to make some advance arrangements. They were chanting along the way, and at night when they would rest, they would also, it was like a festival each night, chanting and dancing. It's like a prototype of like a padayatra of today. So Sivananda made all the arrangements, and he financed it all also. He was born in a Vaidya family, or family of doctors, and he dedicated his income for serving the Vaishnavas in this way. From the third year of their going, they started to take their wives and family members.
Sorry?
From the third year of their going, when they got everything worked out and they were familiar with it, they started to bring their wives and family members. And the wives of all the great devotees, they would cook various long-lasting preparations out of their intense affection for Sri Krishna Caitanya Mahaprabhu. They like to feed him with so many nice preparations. So Sivananda, he knew the whole route, where to stay. He'd arrange in advance what are the best paths to go along. This path is good, but if it's raining, then you should take the other path. And then there were so many toll gates, so he would pay all the tolls. In this way he managed everything. Tolls, and you have to pay for, there's so many rivers you have to cross, you have to pay for crossing by boat. One year as they were on their way to Puri, I should say, they stayed there for, Chaturmasya means 4 months. They'd stay there for 4 months and then come back, and he'd arrange all that also. So he took personal care of everyone's individual needs. One year, as they were going, one dog started following the party. So Sivananda saw, there's another member. Okay, he has to be fed also. But, so the dog was coming along. As you sometimes see, a dog starts following behind, and if you give him a little bit of affection, especially if he's given some food, he'll just stick with you. So they were going along, but at one ghat, one river crossing, the boatman refused to take the dog. These dogs are dogs. They're unclean, and once a dog in your boat, you might pass urine or stool or who knows what. And Sivananda Singh was trying to convince him. Finally, by paying him a large sum of money, he convinced him to take him across. So, on another occasion, as they were going along, Sivananda was engaged elsewhere. There's so many things to do. And when he came late at night to his lodging, he asked his servant, Did you feed everyone? What about the dog?
Что с псом?
Oh, I forgot the dog. So Sivananda was upset, and he sent 10 men to find, where is that dog? So they couldn't find him at all. And Sivananda, thinking that, well, he's also a member of our party, also a Vaishnava, Sivananda felt he committed an offense, and he himself didn't eat that evening. So Sivananda felt, I failed to do my duty properly. Anyway, the devotees continued on their journey and eventually reached Puri. And after offering obeisances to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they went to the temple and had darshan of Jagannath. Then they all took prasadam with Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then each entered their individual lodgings. The next day when they came to see Caitanya Mahaprabhu, they saw that dog there sitting in front of him. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu was throwing the inside of the soft coconut. They call that Malayan. There's no word.
Yeah.
The inside, it's like the soft part of the unripe coconut. Just say coconut. So he's throwing pieces of coconut. Yeah, pulp. Yeah, that's it. Throwing coconut pulp pieces to the dog who's catching it. And Mahaprabhu was laughing and saying, Krishna Bolo, chant Hare Krishna. And dog was swallowing the coconut and saying, Krishna, barking up. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu had potency even to make the dogs chant Hare Krishna. Seeing the dog, Sivananda offered obeisances to him. And please forgive me, I committed an offence. And actually that dog wasn't an ordinary dog, because after that it was never seen again, because by the mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu, he attained, the jiva in the body of a dog attained his original spiritual form and entered Vaikuntha. So the purport of this is that all devotees should keep dogs, if they can get them to chant Hare Krishna. Otherwise don't. Sivananda's family members were all very dear to Caitanya Mahaprabhu and very great devotees. The first was known as Caitanya Das. When he first came, the young baby was brought to Puri. Then the Mahaprabhu asked, "Oh, that's it. So he had a son, very nice." So Mahaprabhu asked, "What is your name?" He said, "Caitanya Das." Mahaprabhu asked Sivananda, "What sort of name is that?"
Mahaprabhu.
He expressed dissatisfaction. So Sivananda said, "I was inspired within my heart to give that name, so I gave it." Another time, when they came, in between they had another son who was called Ramadas. So then after having two sons, then again another time they came to Puri, again Sivananda's wife was expecting. So Mahaprabhu said, "This boy, you give him the name Paramananda when he's born." Of course, in those days they didn't have sonography or different means to ascertain the sex of the child before birth. So Caitanya Mahaprabhu would sometimes jokingly call him Puridas. When he was a little older, Sivananda brought the young boy Paramananda Das before him when he was a little baby, and he placed him before his feet, and the little baby started sucking his toe. He's a very intelligent child. Those feet, which are not attainable even by Shiva and Brahma, this little baby was sucking on. And Mahaprabhu allowed that. He didn't stop him. So in this way, Sivananda received so much mercy that all his family members were accepted, just like his own family. His two nephews, Sri Balabh Sen and Srikanta Sen, were also great devotees. So another year when Sivananda with his family were in Puri at the time of Rath Yatra, Mahaprabhu said to the little Paramananda, "Bolo Krishna, say Krishna." And again he tried, but the boy wouldn't say anything. And then his father also said, come on, say Krishna, Krishna." He wouldn't say. So Mahaprabhu said, I've got everyone in the universe to chant. Even the animals and plants and trees and even rocks I've made chant in the name of Krishna. But somehow I'm not able to induce this little boy to do so. How could that be?
Kako je to moguće?
Then Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was Mahaprabhu's secretary, and who was completely one in mind with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, said that you have already instructed him in Krishna mantra, but mantra that's received is only to be chanted mentally, not out loud. So he won't chant out loudly. That's my guess. Another day, Mahaprabhu, he asked Puridas to recite a verse. And this time immediately the young boy, 7 years old, without any education, immediately recited a verse which no one had ever heard before, of his own composition. Shavaso Kuvalayam Akshnor Anjanam Uraso Mahendra Manidama Vrindavana Ramani Nam Mandanam Akilam Harir Jayati. May Lord Hari be glorified. He is the ornament for all the beauties, namely the gopis of Vrindavan. He is a blue lotus as decoration for their ears. This kajal or mascara for their eyes. And he is a necklace of blue sapphires.
Excuse me, I didn't get you.
A necklace of blue sapphire. Sapphire is a kind of gem.
Yes.
That is a decoration for their breasts. So everyone was astonished how such a young boy could recite such a verse, and they understood this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy on him. Because of reciting this beautiful poetry, Swarup Damodar gave him another name, Karnapur, and he later became famous as Kavi Karnapur, the poet who compiled Gaur Ganodesh Deepika, which is a lamp to illuminate to ascertain the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many other, or several other beautiful books, including Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Okay, we're jumping back in time here now. I didn't organize this very well. After Sivananda had said about his first son, that he has the name that was inspired within my heart to give that name, Chaitanya Das. No, I'm also getting mixed up. Sorry, because in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's not, the pastime is not arranged chronologically. So my attempt to arrange this chronologically is a bit of a mess this time. Anyway, they're all wonderful pastimes. So, one day Sivananda Sen invited, when he was at Puri, he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take lunch prasad with him. He brought very opulent prasad of Lord Jagannath and served it to Mahaprabhu and all his associates. Mahaprabhu, wanting to please Sivananda, who was so anxious to feed him, Sivananda wanted to feed Mahaprabhu lots of prasadam, this opulent prasad. Out of affection he wanted to do so. And out of affection for Sivananda, Mahaprabhu accepted. Just to please him, he ate more than required. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, as Jagannath has already eaten it. So he doesn't have indigestion, but he went through the pastime of having indigestion. So the next day, Chaitanya Das, the son of Sivananda Sen, invited Mahaprabhu for lunch. And he offered preparations like well-cooked rice, cooked very soft, mixed with yogurt, with plenty of lime to squeeze the juice, ginger,
gingera.
Then this butter, it's a soft butter, that means it's a very easy to digest preparation. And with plenty of salt on the side. And just the opposite of the previous day. It's very simple and easy to digest. And Mahaprabhu is very satisfied. Oh, he understands my mind. I've got indigestion. So today I cannot eat opulently. So this kind of food, it counteracts the effect of indigestion, gets the stomach back in. So, let's see now. Now, Mahaprabhu was staying in Puri, and he inspired one of his devotees in Bengal. He entered within Nakul Brahmachari to deliver the people of Bengal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared within the body of Nakul Brahmachari. And as a result, Nakul Brahmachari became exactly like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He became overwhelmed with transcendental bliss of love of Krishna. He would dance and sing and call out loudly in ecstasy of love of Krishna. And he even looked like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As a result, many people came to see him. And just by seeing him, by the influence of his transcendental love of God, they would also become influenced by that ecstasy of Krishna Prem. And they would also start to chant Hare Krishna and exhibit all symptoms of transcendental ecstasy. So news of this spread.
I ta novost se proširila.
When Sivananda Sen heard about this, at first he was doubtful. He thought this may be some cheater or pretender. So he decided to journey to Kalna, where Nakul was living, and test him. So he thought to himself that if, without my asking him even, he tells me what my guru mantra is, then I will accept that he's actually imbued with the spirit of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, because the guru mantra is not to be told to anyone, so no one should know it except him and his guru. So when he arrived in Kalna, there was a huge crowd of people surrounding Nakul Brahmachari. They were all chanting and singing the names of Krishna in divine ecstasy. And Sivananda just stood at the edge of the crowd. But as soon as he arrived there, amidst so many devotees, he was standing amidst so many devotees, but Nakul called him out, Sivananda, Sivananda, bring Sivananda here. So when he heard his name being called, Sivananda came to the front and offered his obeisances to Nakul, who said to him, as you have doubted me, please listen, and I will eradicate your doubt. Your guru mantra is the 4-syllable Gaura Gopala mantra. So give up the doubts which are in your heart. When, upon hearing this, Sivananda became convinced that Nakul Brahmachari was indeed imbued with the presence of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srikant Sen was a nephew of Sivananda. So he went to Puri at a different time, ahead of all the devotees, because he was very much anxious to meet with Mahaprabhu. Welcomed him very affectionately and kept him close by his side. And after 2 months instructed him to return to Bengal and to tell the Bengali devotees that they should not come to Puri this year to see him. That because he himself, after the rainy season, in the winter, in the month of Posh, would come to Bengal. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I will come to Bengal, I will meet, and I will eat at Jagadananda's house. So when Srikant returned and gave this news, everyone was very happy, and they eagerly awaited the arrival of Mahaprabhu in Bengal. And their eagerness increased as each day went by. And he made all arrangements to receive him. And eventually the Posh month came. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hadn't come. But it's about 30 days, so they thought, well, maybe he will come tomorrow. And he didn't come. And this way each day went by, they're anxiously thinking, maybe he will come tomorrow. And he didn't come. At this time, Nrsimha Brahmachari, his name was originally Pradyumna Brahmachari, but because of his devotion to his deity, Nrsimhadev, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu renamed him Nrsimhananda. He happened to arrive. And seeing everyone so distressed, he asked the reason for that. And when he was told that we're simply waiting here for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to place his lotus feet, he has assured us, but he is not coming. He told them that I will bring him within 3 days, don't worry. So knowing of Nrsimha Brahmachari's spiritual potency, they all accepted. They became very happy. Because previously Nrsimhananda had in meditation prepared the whole path for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go to Vrindavan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told her, I'm going from Bengal to Vrindavan. So Nrsimhananda in meditation prepared a beautiful path along the way. And so he visualized each point along the way and made arrangement of beautiful trees, gardens, lakes along the way. But when in meditation, he had made arrangements as far as Kanaya Nachala, then his meditation broke and he couldn't go any further. And he told all the devotees that Mahaprabhu will not go to Vrindavan this time. He'll go no further than Kanaya Nachala. So that came to be, so all the devotees had faith in his extraordinary potency. So this Pradyumna Brahmachari sat down in meditation to bring Mahaprabhu. And after 2 days, he told all the devotees, he's already reached Panihati, the place of Raghava Pandit. So he'll reach midday tomorrow at Sivananda Saint's house. So you better start making arrangements, start cooking. Make a wonderful arrangement. And he himself, the next morning, Nrsimhananda, early in the morning, he started cooking also. And they made, between them, they made a wonderful variety of preparations. And he arranged all of this onto 3 large plates, which he offered to deities of Jagannath, his own deity of Nrsimhadev, and another plate he kept for Mahaprabhu, who they were all expecting to arrive at any moment. So as he sat down in meditation to make the offering to the deities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived. And he had all the offerings on all 3 plates without leaving any remnants. So he became upset and said, why are you eating all? There's nothing for my Nrsimhadev. And he came out of the deity room looking upset and saying that my Nrsimha, he hasn't eaten anything today. And Sivananda asked, how is that so? We cooked so many preparations. And I put it all on the 3 plates, and then Mahaprabhu came and he ate it all. And Nrsimhadev and Jagannath are starving. But no one else saw Mahaprabhu. He said he was coming, but we didn't see him. And only Pradyumna says that he came. So next year they all, in great anxiety, or great eagerness, they again went to Puri to meet Mahaprabhu. And as usual, when they're in Puri, they went on with their chanting, dancing, and bathing in Indradyumna Sarovara, Narendra Sarovara, taking darshan of Jagannath, and all the wonderful activities that they constantly engaged in. One day in the course of conversation, Mahaprabhu started to glorify Nrsimhananda. In the course of glorifying him, he said, He's such a good cook. Last year, in the month of Posh, he cooked such wonderful preparations. I never tasted such wonderful rice and vegetable preparations. And like this, they went on talking. And then they understood that, yes, he actually came. We didn't see him, but Nrsimha Brahmachari saw him. And Sivananda, by serving all the devotees, bringing them to Puri, arranging for their residence, he received some unprecedented mercy from Nityananda Prabhu. So usually what they would do, when they came to a toll gate, then Sivananda would tell the gatekeeper, you let them all go through and I'll pay you, don't delay them all. So one time when this happened, there was some problem with the gatekeeper. He was trying to extract some more money than was required, and there was some haggling over how much should be given. And Sivananda was delayed. In the party that year was Nityananda Prabhu, as usual, even though Caitanya Mahaprabhu had specifically forbidden him from coming. And you have to remain and preach. And Nityananda thought, okay, I'll preach later. I'll go and see Mahaprabhu first. So all the devotees were waiting in the village up ahead. And Sivananda was delayed and delayed and delayed. There was no place for them to stay, and they were sitting under a tree, and there was nothing to eat. And Nityananda became angry. I'm so hungry. He hasn't come and arranged for my meal. Let all his sons die. So Sivananda's wife, hearing this and knowing the potency of Nityananda, she started to cry. And eventually Sivananda came, saw his wife totally distraught. What happened? What's wrong? Because you couldn't come and Nityananda is so hungry, he cursed all our 3 sons to die. So Sivananda said, you mad woman, why are you crying? Let our sons die for the offense we have made to Nityananda Prabhu. So then he went to find Lord Nityananda, who was sitting very angrily and hungrily under a tree. So when he saw Sivananda coming, he got up and kicked him. And Sivananda thought, wow, this is wonderful. All the demigods, they're desiring the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. But still they can't get it. And now he's voluntarily given it to me, and very forcefully also. So he begged, he said to Nityananda, oh, thank you so much for accepting me as your servant. Now you please forgive my offense and we'll arrange everything for you. So he brought him to his lodgings and said that, now you've really accepted me as your servant, because you can only do that. You only do that to someone you're very much against or you're very much love. Today my life, my family and all my service, I have achieved the perfection of all of them. Today by the mercy of the dust of your feet, I have attained Krishna Bhakti, as well as everything that could possibly be desired. So Nityananda was so pleased that he embraced Sivananda. More mercy. But Srikant, he saw this, and Srikant, the nephew of Sivananda, he became upset. He thought that my uncle is Caitanya Mahaprabhu's very dear associate, and all the devotees accord him high respect. But Nityananda, without considering any of this, has simply kicked him. So in protest he left the party. I cannot remain with this Nityananda. And in an angry mood he went off ahead of the party and reached Puri ahead of everyone else. So on arrival he came into the presence of Caitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him respectful obeisances. Then Mahaprabhu told his servant Govinda that tell him to take off his upper cloth. You're not supposed to wear upper cloth when offering obeisances. But having said that, then again he restrained Govinda. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to all his associates that Srikant has come ahead of everyone because he's feeling a lot of disturbance. So don't disturb him anymore, let him just do as he wishes. So Srikant, who is, he's going to come and complain to Mahaprabhu. He said, "You're Nityananda, he behaved like this, you have to sort him out, you have to straighten him out. What kind of behavior is this?" He's all the time coming with thinking intensely of Nityananda. I'm going to complain to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he thought, he already knows. Okay, I won't bother saying anything. And he didn't say anything to anyone. So these are some of the pastimes of Sivananda Sena which have been recorded. There must be many more, but these are what we have. Among his sons, Chaitanya Das and Kavi Karnapur are famous as writers of Vaishnava literature. Chaitanya Das wrote many books, among which his commentary on Krishna Karnamrita is highly valued by the Vaishnava community. He also wrote a book of Sanskrit poetry called Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is different to the Bengali work of the same name. I believe our godbrother Mukunda Datta, he asked me, I got him a copy of this Krishna Karnamrita with that commentary, so I believe he's planning on translating that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Sivananda Sen ki jai.
Jai.
Tina Putra Sange Nache Sen Sivananda. As it is stated in a Bengali song. Sivananda Sen is dancing with his three sons. Any question?
Jagannath? I would like to ask something in connection with Jagannath Das Babaji.
Alright, I'll answer it if I happen to know the answer.
I was read that he has a servant Bihari. When Jagannath Das Babaji left this world, what happened with Bihari? Is there some information about it?
Yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit that I know of. Because it was recalled that it must have been disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, or maybe it was disciple of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but anyway, he recalled meeting Bihari Das after the departure of Jagannath Das. And Bihari Das told him so many things about Jagannath Das, which is most of the information that was recorded and published in the Gauriya magazine of the Gauriya Math, which is most of what we know about Jagannath Das comes from that meeting in Calcutta, I believe it was. So he lived a quiet life. Mostly Babajis lead a quiet life. So that much, that's recorded. One devotee met him in Calcutta, as far as I remember. Not much information. There are so many hundreds and thousands of devotees we have no information about. In Rasik Mangal it describes some of the devotees. Just the name is given and it says he had thousands of disciples and no other information. Anything else? Yeah. it's like a material attachment. Just like a little dog comes and wags his tail and he's saying, how nice, and give him a little food. Well, devotees on the level of Sivananda saying don't have any material attachments. They're not impelled by the external energy of Krishna, only by the internal energy. So if it appears they're acting under the jurisdiction of the material energy, we should know that they're not. Because their whole being is fully surcharged with pure love of Krishna, and there's no presence of even sattva gun, what to speak of rajagun or tamagun. So as in so many cases, the apparently material dealings of pure devotees, they must be understood to be impelled by the internal potency of the Lord, making some arrangement for pastimes, which was later revealed by that dog being sent to Vaikuntha. Although that is also understood that Caitanya Mahaprabhu showed the dog so much mercy because he was favored by Sivananda. Similarly, Caitanya Mahaprabhu showed such mercy to Srivas Pandit that all his family members, Srivas's family members, and even the servants in his home and even the household cats and dogs were delivered out of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's affection for Srivas. When we say household cats and dogs, you've seen in India that, well, maybe you haven't. In the old, because now people keep dogs in their houses. But previously that was like in the village there'd be dogs and they didn't really belong to anyone, just like here. They just wander around and people throw them something to eat, but they don't allow them in the house. They don't pet them or put them on their lap or get licked by them or any such thing. They just happen to be there, so the householder, as his duty, feeds them. And they'll, one dog he'll become more or less the household dog. Not that he resides he live in the courtyard or something and bark if any intruder comes. But even such dogs got delivered because of being in Srivas's house.
My question is, what relationship of understanding those values or those values that establish the response to change those values? How do I also just see those values as outside of the trying to achieve, or there is something we have to project in our life, or is it
Ja bi mogu prevesti tako znam.
Well, this shows the extraordinary mercy of Caitanya Mahaprabhu that he delivered even a dog. And but it's not a general instruction that everyone should start keeping dogs. That Sivananda Sain fed the dog who came along on the party, that was an exception. It's not that all the devotees are keeping dogs all the time. So we should follow that which is ordinarily done, not try to imitate the one exception and take it as the rule. Prabhupada told that his father used to rise a little late, but it's not a Shastra conjunction or instructed to us by Prabhupada that we should rise late. So because his father was an exception to the widely accepted rule, that doesn't mean that we should also take that as a norm for our lives, as normative for our lives. It should be easy to understand, although you don't look convinced. I'm saying you don't look convinced. That's a common thing, that devotees, despite the whole tradition for thousands of years, the Shastra injunction, and the order of Guru, they'll find one exception and say, oh, see, he did it, therefore I'll do it. So that's what I said. If you can deliver the dog back to Godhead, then... But even there was no talk of him keeping him as a pet dog. He was just feeding him, that's all. He was following the path. He didn't say he was taking him on his lap, patting him on the head and kissing him. He was just feeding him, that's all. So if there's a stray dog in the neighborhood, it's a householder's duty to feed him. Some scraps of food. You don't have to go out and buy dog food. That's all. That's another neo-ISKCON tendency, having pet dogs. It didn't happen in Croatia yet.
Well,
you didn't mix your Ras Leela with dog Leela yet. You're lucky.
Yeah,
yet to come.
No,
don't bring it. I'm going to be responsible. In America, where they're more advanced, many devotees keep dogs. But they're all special dogs. My dog's not an ordinary dog. He's an intimate associate of Caitanya Mahaprabhu.
Son?
My dog's not an ordinary dog. He's an intimate associate of Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Or so I was told by one devotee. I shouldn't say that, he's a very special dog, He jumps in the kirtan. He only takes prasadam. Everything's special. Hare Krishna. Okay, it's time for the don't moan, don't groan, go out.